And hello there, my people, my people. Welcome. I get so excited about these moments, guys. I love sharing amazing people and talented people and people with incredible stories. I just like doing that. It's part of the fun that I get to have in the world. And today we have another wonderful guest. So we're going to get to her in a moment, but thank you so much for tuning in. We have all kinds of other episodes. Be sure to look at the whole history we have of the podcast. And of course, I'm doing this from home and the dog's barking somewhere at something. So ignore that. And I want to remind you guys that today's experience or today's podcast is brought to you by a joint venture partnership with the Wholeness Clock. So the Convergence Healing Podcast is brought to you in partnership with Earthwalk as part of their global Wholeness Clock. Earthwalk's mission is to create a global culture of peace, and we are tending to the moment of joy. To find out more about the Wholeness Clock and its other shows and programs, please visit their website at earthwalkunited.org/wholeness clock. Once again, that's earthwalkunited.org/wholeness clock. Guys, they're a great organization, such a good heart, and so many interesting programs. So check them out. And let's jump on in. I have this guest who is so cool. You know, I love stories about making lemonade from lemons, finding the gold in the garbage, all those awesome things. And so today, let me introduce you to Dr. Holly Donahue. Holly, hey.
Hey, Peter, how are you? It's so great to be here. I just love your energy. Like, let's do this. It's so much fun.
You have a story of lemonade from lemons. So tell us that story.
Yeah, so let me share with you from the beginning. Back when I was a teenager, I had a severe history of depression, sadness, inability to lose weight, couldn't concentrate, couldn't focus. Concentration was just out the door. And I just kept searching. And I was like, what is happening? At that point in time, when I was 18 years old, they were like, let's put you on lithium. Let's put you on Prozac. And I'm like, that cannot be the answer. No, no, no. I'm not taking lithium. I'm not taking Prozac. My mom was a mental health therapist. My family was scared. They were nervous. And I'm like, look, I'm not suicidal, but I just don't feel like myself. So let's fast forward another 10 years. In my late 20s, early 30s, I'm now in corporate America, climbing up the clock in the apparel industry, and I was a director of product development at the time, and I was still exhausted, and I just kept searching, though I just kept climbing because that's what you do. You just keep going, in America, and I just was doing the best I could. So it wasn't until in my 30s I actually found a naturopathic doctor that I am so grateful for, Dr. James D'Adamo and Dr. Ian Beer, and they changed my life. I remember sitting in their office, them telling me I had a thyroid disorder, Hashimoto's, I was exhausted. The reason why I couldn't lose weight is because I was eating all the wrong foods. And guess what? They created a customized treatment plan. And here I am today. I stayed in the apparel industry for a short period of time, and they kept saying, we need naturopaths. We need naturopaths. We need to heal chronic disease. We can't just keep giving all these pharmaceutical meds out. There's a time and a place for them, but you need to become a naturopath. And I'm like, I'm not going back to school. I'm in my 30s. Well, guess what? They just kept probing at it. If you stay in corporate, you're going to be exhausted. If you stay in the apparel industry, even though that's my love, I have to admit, I love the design, I love the fabrics. And now, what I say to people is, for years, I worked hard to make people look good and produce garments with many different great companies. But now I get to allow people to feel good. So if they feel good inside, they look good. So that's where I am. And that's my story. And I have to just say, I am so grateful for natural medicine and natural healing. It changed my life.
Oh God, me too. Our stories, they're not the same story, but I have some of those same elements, right? I was so sick. I was so sick all the time, right? I was frustrated. I was angry because of it, right? I felt bad. It felt like I had the flu all every day for a decade, that swollen, achy, can't get out of bed. And then I'm battling with my mind, right? That experience of just get out of bed, do things, push harder, go more, that type of thing. But then my body is just like, I can't do it. I like that voice. I can't do it. Right. That was part of that experience. And I tell you, if it wasn't for holistic therapies, I I have been prescribed so many pharmaceutical medications. And I want to say the same thing. Pharmaceuticals aren't bad in themselves, but I think we lean into them too much. And there's other options, there's other solutions out there. And the Western allopathic medicine was fantastic about putting my bones back together.
Yeah.
But when it became just everyday feeling type of things, going through life, that gnawing anxiety or that gnawing feeling of exhaustion, which I think is big right now. And we're in so many pandemics. There's not just this COVID pandemic, but there's a burnout pandemic that's happening, right? There's a depression pandemic. There's an anxiety pandemic. And to know that there are other options out there that aren't necessarily exclusive. I healed myself I call it my holistic cocktail. And I combined, or I should actually call it my integrated cocktail, because I combined some Western stuff, especially the diagnostic tools, the blood work, the tests, that type of stuff. And I would take those to my naturopath, or I'd take those to, whatever doctor I was seeing that knew how to read those things, or my nutritionist or whatever. And the change in my body because of that coming together, it's why I call my practice convergence, right? Yeah. That healing that got to happen, it's not exclusionary, but like, let's make the pie bigger. Let's, work with more people, figure it out together type of energy. That alone was healing. And so I really love what you do. When we first met and we did the summit that you produced, I was like, I am so in alignment with this chick. She's awesome.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, it's such an amazing journey. Like when I saw patients this morning, for example, I had a new patient in my office who had just seen an endocrinologist. She was exhausted. I could clearly see it on her. She's 3 teenagers running a business, just an amazing female, but couldn't even really keep her eyes open, and she just went to the endocrinologist. Your thyroid's fine. You're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. Well, what begins to happen? Just like you think you're crazy, and she's like, I'm sleeping okay, but I'm not sleeping great. And so, just a little bit about that and about what I do and how I do it differently is when a patient meets me, I meet them where they're at and I consciously create a customized treatment plan for them. Yes, it's based around integrative therapies, like you were saying. But nutrition is the base of our medicine. And so many of us, and nature does the healing. And so many of us reach to a pill for an ill, is what I call it, instead of trying to get to the root of the cause. This patient was clearly not feeling herself. And I will honestly say this happens every day in my clinic. And this is what I get. And back 15 years ago, I used to be like, okay. But the message is always like, you were my last resort. After you, I have no other options. And my heart cries for the people that are sitting across the table from me.
Oh my gosh, I've heard that so many times in my practice, and I'm not a medical person. I don't try to be a medical person, right? I'm your alternative therapist. And the people that come to me, it's changed in the last few years, which I'm so grateful for. But I've been in practice for 17 years, and the majority of my practice has been people coming they don't know where else to go or what else to do. They've exhausted their doctors, they've taken the pharmaceuticals, they've done the surgeries, and to work with them in a different way, in a way that is really listening to them. My practice, people have described it as being like teaching people how to be their own medical intuitive, right? Where you're there, I work with people to tune in to how they're doing, what's going on. And like you said, the body knows how to heal itself. There's a natural wisdom. So we'll pull in things. I do it through kind of a hypnotic NLP psychological kind of approach. And we talk to the parts that are suffering.
Yeah.
So when that person walks in, we're talking to the pain. You're kind of doing the same thing.
Right.
You're doing it with your skills and as a naturopath, right? You're talking to the pain. What do you really need in
Right.
order to actually live better, to feel better, right?
Right. Right.
So we do that, and we'll pull in people like you. We'll pull in different people to help them create that team, that convergence, that coming together. So somebody might work on the spiritual side of the wound, right? Somebody might work on the mental side. Somebody might work on more of the physical side of it, the diet, the exercise, the medical sort of side of it.
Yeah.
And we come together and we make a great team in that.
Right.
Right. I really resent it when Western people, as well as holistic people, try to be that one-stop shop.
Right.
Like I can work. Oh, I know how to do this. Oh, and by the way, I know how to do this. I know how to do that. Right. Gosh, no, even if they have such an education and a background, there's such a value in creating. I love that old saying, two or more gathered together.
Yeah.
I like to say two or more gathered together, there's healing.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Well, community, right? And
Yeah.
what you're saying is like everybody has their gift. And your gift is different than my gift, but yet we can still get to the root of the healing. Like we can get the patient to understand consciously where they need their healing to happen.
Mhm. Yeah. And our gifts are complementary. So this
Correct.
whole competition thing is just such bull crap. I like to say
Well, it
that.
just
But
doesn't work. It
yeah.
doesn't, it does not work. And it doesn't heal the patient. And it just like, and the medical model that so many patients are frustrated when they come in, again, I am here. Like if I get hit by a truck, just like you said, I want medicine. Or if I need a pharmaceuticals and I'm in an emergent situation, like I want that. But like there's a deeper healing. And when we empower the patient to heal, and we walk with them, and it's not like, oh, you're here for 15 minutes, oh, this is what's going on, or this is what I try this, and then yeah, I'll see you in a year, and not pull any labs or look in the iris of the eye like I do, or take pulse diagnosis or touch the body.
Mm-hmm.
Like how powerful, we need to be touched. And this is the thing about the pandemic that you and I can probably converse on for hours. People have not been touched. That's not reality.
Right. Yeah, very true. You had said something I'm very interested in, so I'd like to see it from your point of view, and that is Hashimoto's thyroid, because I think this is a pandemic.
Yeah.
There's so many people that I hear are in this experience of just emotional, physical exhaustion. And I think a lot of it comes down to, not to say all of it, but a large amount of it comes down to this thyroid issue. Talk to us a little bit about that. How would somebody be able to identify that maybe their thyroid's out of alignment?
Okay, good question. So the basic medical symptoms, if you're low thyroid, it could be exhaustion, inability to get out of bed, inability to lose weight, puffiness, general fatigue, like just like this blasé feeling. And if they're eating all the right foods and they're just exhausted, that would be low thyroid. And that's more the Hashimoto's, which I'll go there in a second. And then we have high thyroid, hyperthyroid, which would be the anxiety, heart palpitations, feeling like your heart is going to come out of the center of your chest, large eyes, like your eyes are bulging. Those sort of symptoms are high thyroid and are Graves' disease. So I have seen patients with both. What the Hashimoto's means and the Graves' disease means is the immune system isn't functioning at the capacity that it should. The messaging in the medical world, though I'm not so sure I'm on board with that, is that the thyroid is being attacked, either overactive, which is the high thyroid, or underactive, which is the low thyroid. What I do is go in and work the gut and work the immune system, because your gut, your abdominal area, is your largest immune system. And remember, if we go to the thyroid is all about communication, being able to communicate who we are. Like, hence I have turquoise on today. I didn't do it on purpose. So it's funny we're talking about this. But that color, the chakra color, is turquoise. Like, I can communicate. I am loved. I am who I am. I can listen to myself. So many individuals go inside and can't speak the truth of who they are. And that's related to the thyroid.
Yeah, absolutely. When I do a lot of work with people who are not speaking their truth, for some reason, that's something that keeps coming into my practice. They often have throat issues, and that's right where that thyroid is, right? They often have lung or sinus issues, that type of thing. That inability to speak their truth is all being stuck, like all that energy is being stuck
Right.
right in here.
Right.
Right. And I love how you have this medical background, but you also talk about chakras.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
Tell a
because
little bit
that's
more
like
about
that
that.
balance.
Mhm. So people tend to think that Western doctors are the allopathic, right? Doctor is the be all end all. And yet I know chiropractors who have way more education, way more years required of them in education and in practice before they could even go and treat, right? Talk to us a little bit about the difference between the DO or the ND and the MD. What is that?
Yeah, so really good question. So the medical doctors I haven't gone to this in a long time, Peter. Holy cow. Okay, so the medical doctors do their 2 years in their training in what we call the basic sciences. The naturopaths do that as well. The medical doctors at that point in time, 2 to 3 years, decide at the third to fourth year their focus. So they're pre-med into their medical years. So then they'll decide, do they want to be an endocrinology? Do they want to be a primary care physician? Do they want to be a cardiologist, right? Like go down all the ologies, and that's where their focus and concentration is. And that's where they go to. And then that becomes, per se, I don't like labels, but that becomes their title. So
Right.
we know who we're looking for.
And
And
in
then
that focus, they're mainly learning about pharmaceuticals and surgeries.
that's what I was just going to say. So they're learning about the pharmaceutical supplements. They're only going to surgery if they've chosen surgery in that dedicated field. So a cardiac surgeon or cardiology would just be the evaluation as the heart. And then there's surgeons that actually do the surgery. There are some that do both, but not necessarily. And then, like you said, they learn that pharmaceutical medicine that all our research and all our monies go into with what we call big pharma, which is constantly changing different meds. Some stay in, some stay out. We have this new drug. Let's try this. And it's really called practice for a reason. It's clinical practice that we're now trying this medication that has been researched in these clinical trials over a period of time. So that's the medical doctor. The DO, the chiropractor, naturopath, I'll just kind of bulk them together, but I'll focus more on naturopathy because I understand it a little bit more because, of course, it's who I am.
Right?
So not only do we learn everything that the medical world does, but then at one point we have to learn pharmaceuticals. We learn herbs, how the herbs work within the body, which, all of our herbal medicine, like nature is our healer. What a beautiful thing. The pharmaceuticals often start with an herb, which a lot of people don't
Oh,
realize, and
absolutely.
then
Yeah.
become a synthetic,
Mhm.
right?
That's
So,
aspirin. The aspirin, like Boswellia, right?
right,
Or I think it's Boswellia, right? That's the core, the base of aspirin, right?
right.
The
White willow
Boswellia
bark.
tree.
White willow
Pardon?
bark.
Willow,
Yeah, yeah,
white willow bark. Yes,
yeah,
white
yeah.
willow bark. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So it becomes like the herb, and then we chemically move it all around and it becomes more synthetic. And often with the pharmaceutical drugs, not always, but oftentimes they're blocking a particular pathway so we can stop that body from doing this. Whereas the herbs, the goal is to guide the body to heal the underneath root of the cause to allow the body to function better. So as naturopaths, we might veer off and like what Peter and I just spoke about, we might be more gifted with craniosacral or visceral manipulation, or we're more gifted in physical medicine, which would be the chiropractic, the spinal manipulation. Like we have specialties that we're better at, but we're looking at the whole person. And then we're learning the different nutrients, biochemical nutrients that the body takes in or can be deficient in order to build up. For example, like magnesium, we need magnesium for every single pathway. That's a nutrient, right? So we've got the herbs and we got the nutrients, and then we're looking at the big picture with the food. So that's how the natural, I'll just call it the natural model works. And then this is how the medical model works.
And I love that you brought up herbs, because part of my healing, I was so sick for so long, and part of my healing was let food be thy medicine. So I had huge gut issues. I had huge gut issues and fatigue issues. And I started to understand that by eating certain foods, I started to become aware. Most people don't even notice, I don't think, or they're not even consciously aware of what's going on and how they feel until time goes by. But I started to notice that certain foods didn't do me well. And one of the biggest ones was dairy. I cut out dairy completely for years out of my diet, any kind of dairy. And it's interesting, my body has recovered and been more healthy. And now every now and then I can have dairy. Like I have a burrito with some cheese in it, or, I treat myself to a little bit of ice cream, something like that. Something I don't do very often, because I know in the long term, that's not good for me to have regularly in my system. And if I do, I feel the difference. And I'm also now, I'm becoming more conscious of how my body feels, and I'm learning to listen to my body. I actually created a little tea company. So I thought, well, Mother Nature is amazing. If the pharmacists can go to Mother Nature for their medicine to create medicine out of, why don't I? And I just started being a layman, and I'm not an herbalist. I'm not any of that kind of stuff. But I started researching and understanding that Mother Nature has different herbs that do different things. Right. And so I actually crafted my own tea company, and then had my recipes vetted by people who know herbs, herbalists and that type of stuff. So I knew that I was on the right path.
Right.
So I have this little healing tea company, and actually made some tea. And today I made the women's tea. Now,
There you
this is
go.
a tea I crafted for women, because it has nettle and raspberry leaf and chamomile. Those are all things that are really good for the female body. But that doesn't mean that Mother Nature is exclusive.
Right.
That doesn't mean Mother Nature says only women can have that herb, right? So I actually made this tea, and I was drawn to it today. I have a wall of herbs. I have like this 10, 12-foot wall that's all the way up to the ceiling of jars of herbs and teas and stuff like that, right? And so I said, there's something to me today. I don't know what it was, but that was drawing me to the ingredients in my women's blend.
Yeah.
And it's super tasty. And I don't know, but my body said yes to this.
Yeah.
Right. And so I wanted to bring it onto the show and just share that I am drinking the women's tea today, and it's delicious.
Well, we also have to remember, Peter, believe it or not, we have feminine and masculine in us. What a concept.
Oh, well, I know that really well.
So many people want to, we live in a masculine world. Speaking of masculinity, a lot of the research is done on men, not on women. And I'm not saying that because I'm a woman, but it's it is clinical practice, because we're trying to work with the female and get the female healthier. But we really don't know a lot about women, because the money isn't spent in the women as far as research is concerned.
So we do research, we do it on men, and then we apply it to, we say, well, of all the people studied, men, this is what we found. And then we want to go and apply that to women's bodies. And it's not that, men's and women's bodies are so different, but just the colonial attitude, that's it, the patriarchal attitude. Well, why aren't we studying the female body and seeing how women react to these things? Because we do have some differences, and let's honor those. Those are what make us special, right?
Well, women have the cyclic hormone piece consistently. Men have hormones as well, but they're not constantly at the level that the hormones are always working in the female. Their levels are very different.
Yeah. Now, actually, you know what? I heard this a long time ago. So you're the perfect to ask this to. Perfect person. I actually was told, it was years ago, that men actually have more hormonal influxes or ups and downs or whatever, fluctuation, than women do. But it's a different hormone. So I have no idea if that's true.
I would say we have different hormones. We still have all the estrogen, the progesterone, the testosterone, the cortisol, the ghrelin, all of that. But I feel like women are more intricate. So I like this, and this might help your audience. It's like a Timex compared to a Rolex. A Timex, you can drop it. It's like the mail. You can drop it, you can pick it up, and they keep going. A Rolex, You need to constantly take it down, have the jeweler fix it, put it back on at the expense that it is, and it needs
Yeah.
to be constantly tweaked
Oh my
because of
God,
the
your
fluctuations
analogy.
of the hormones.
So I love your analogy and all the implications of your analogy. I'm cheap. I'm a Timex. I'm gonna keep on ticking, but you can throw me around.
That's not what I'm
I'm
saying.
just teasing. I'm
Yeah, I
teasing.
know. But it's like men just need a few little tweaks. Like, how many times have you heard women say, I get so frustrated because like my husband can lose weight immediately, but like as soon as I put my mindset, I can't.
Yeah.
It's like the hormones. It's like how we're treating, like men are giving, women are receiving. Like we're not receiving a lot in our culture because we are taught, like you said, the patriarchal society to give, do in order to be successful. And you know what? That's why I love what I get to do, like working with leaders and high performers and entrepreneurs like yourself that could be completely burnt out and don't even realize it because they just keep going because that will make them successful. And what I say is you need one of us on your team. Just like you need
Huge.
a business coach, you need a personal trainer for yourself. Like hire us, have us on board for you to help support you in your practice
Mm.
to get better.
Amen.
You know?
I just feel like I want to just like jump up and down and say, yeah, speak the truth.
You know?
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
so
I mean,
like our
as a
mind is
therapist,
so,
I have my team. I mean,
yes,
I
I
have people that
do.
I go to, we need that.
That's right. That's right. And I tell patients, I practice what I preach. I was in corporate, I was do. And if they say, I'm not able to eat that food, and I'm like, really? I was flying all over the world. And as soon as I landed, I figured out the food. I was busier than you back prior to 9/11, and I could be healthy. So can you. You have it in you. But the key, I think, and I know, is consciously to meet the patient where they're at, teach them to live consciously in themselves, but guide them in where they need the support because you can heal yourself and everything is in here. Where
Mhm.
we're told that everything is with that white jacket and we need to listen to that medical practitioner. And I tell my patients, ask me questions.
Mhm.
That's how I get to know you.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, my practice is a type of therapy. So we get to talk, we get to figure things out. And what I really pride myself in doing is always calling out my filters when I can see them, of course, right? Always calling that out and saying, this is my thing. I'm going to call that out. You come to me because you want my opinion, but I want to make sure that you know that it is not the end all be all. Like I even stopped saying that I help people. I'm really consciously trying to change my languaging around that I don't help people. I hold their hand. I am there with them. I hold their hand and I give them tools to pick up, but I don't help people. I like to think that I inspire people. I give people tools. I teach people things, but it's not my responsibility. I don't help you. I give you the tools to help yourself. And that puts an interesting thing back on the client or the patient, right? Puts a very interesting thing because they have to then decide, is this something I'm participating in? Am I going to pick it up? Am I going to be the lead? Right? Part of how I love to look at my practice is we're creating a team, and this part of you that's been suffering, it's the leader. It's the part that's saying, I want to do this, I want to do that. This feels right to me. And that's where I get to back off because I have my own ideas of what healing looks like and how you do it. And I get to back off and say let the part lead the way. And if the part says, like when I work with my cancer clients, if the part says, I want to go do that surgery or I want to go do this, and it's not my fear, it's not my critical mind just trying to tell me how to become a
Right.
bully, really force myself to do something, right? To actually be so in touch with ourselves that we're letting that part of us guide the way. And if it's a combination, great. If it's only allopathic, great. If it's, all of us working together and we're going to do one thing over here and one thing over here, that's your individual personal, I call it the holistic recipe or integrative recipe that we follow in order to create our own well-being. right? It's leaning into that own personal knowledge. And so many times we're just trying to check off a box. We're trying to fit in a box that this is the way you do it. And I think that's true again, where there's been a couple times, not very often, very rarely in the years I've done all the healing work that I do for myself, right? I have to walk my own talk. I'm big on that. Something comes up and I have to deal with it. And I have to apply my own methodology, right? And then I have to go to the people that are there who can hold my hand to guide me through it. There's been a couple times where people have recommended doing something, and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't feel right. Mm-hmm. And hopefully my practitioner isn't so ego-based that they're going to be like, well, then why, you don't need to work with me or something like that. I'm like, yeah, that type of thing. But I know I've been bullied so many times by the allopathic world. I've been told, well, you're going to die if you don't take this drug. Yeah. Well, I didn't. I've been told if I don't do this, you're going to die. You're going to have all these problems or all these things. You have to do it this way. There's only one way to all that stuff. Or the thing of, well, are you a doctor? And my response is often, no, I'm not a doctor, but this body belongs to me and I know my body really well. Right. And I've done a lot of work. So I get if, somebody doesn't know their body and doesn't know what to do, but I've done a lot of work on learning to listen and be with my body and listen to my body and have my body lead me in my healing. And I've healed all kinds of things that doctors told me could never be healed, sometimes with their help and the allopathic, and sometimes with naturopathic doctors or other types of professionals, right? Yeah. So this openness, this make the pie bigger. Yeah. I'm so excited to say that I think it's finally changing. And I'm interested in knowing what it's like in your practice, because most of my referrals come from clients and, surprisingly enough, from doctors. Yes. Yeah. Wow, the shift that is happening, right? For doctors to be able to say, you know what, I think we need to make the field bigger. And I think that started with cancer and bringing in like Reiki energy workers, because now a lot of cancer care doctors do that, or acupuncture or chiropractic. Like there's an opening to understand I'm not a one-stop shop, and I may not understand it, but my patients, like clients, are benefiting from this. Yeah. So instead of just saying no, I'm going to say yes and. I love that energy. 100%. Yes and. 100%. What has it been like for you as a practitioner? Are you noticing anything shifting in your?
I am. So when so it always takes time from the West Coast to get to the stubborn East Coast, right? So when I actually was practicing medicine in Seattle, and that's where I did my naturopathic degree, it was so beautiful, the dance that we did with the specialists, meaning, the cardiologist, the endocrinologist, the hospital, all of that. And naturopaths were important. When I moved here, it was like, naturopaths aren't important, and who are you, and you're not a real doctor, and all that messaging. And I just ignored it because I know who I am. Like, don't label me and sell it, because I get to heal people every day when they come through my door, right?
Well, the value of what you do. The value of who
it's personal. It's personal. Yeah. So now it's interesting that you say that, because I just had a referral yesterday from a primary care that said, you need to go see an osteopath or a naturopath, because we don't know why you're creating bone spurs. We don't know why you're creating all of these osteophytes in your body. We have no idea. And this poor woman has had a whole docket of surgeries and she's still not better. So I'm beginning to feel the embracement of that now. And, kind of a little bit of spin-off of what you just said. Like I say, I'm walking with you on your journey to healing. I'm the conduit for you to help heal. I'm supporting you, but guess what? You're doing it. But you're only doing it if you ask me the questions and you walk with me.
Yep.
and when
Yeah.
you're ready, I'll meet you where you're at.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm seeing a lot of that happening in addiction as well, in addiction recovery, right? Where it's not just one way anymore. And right now I'm working with this amazing team where there's a ND who's actually doing ketamine therapy with, some of our people struggling with addiction. And on top of the ketamine therapy, they're going to a psychologist, and they're going to a meditation expert, and they're going to a nutritionist, and they're going to a physical, trainer or body
Yeah.
work or something like that. They're actually getting body work done, and they're coming to me.
Yeah.
And we're treating the entire experience, like the whole person is getting attention and care and love and support. And man, the recovery that happens with people, I'm so grateful to be part of something. It's kind of cutting edge, but it's been around for a long time. But it's getting to that point where, at least in this area of recovery, it's finally being recognized that it's a team approach. Takes a village, right? And I think that's starting to seep into other parts of healing.
Right.
And so, Holly, we got to stop, because we could talk forever. Every time you and I get on the phone, there's been a couple of times where they're like, we just need to check in, right? Okay, okay, bye. It should be like a 30-second conversation, and we end up talking for 20 minutes. So, okay. So we need to wrap up. I so appreciate you. I appreciate your talent. I appreciate who you are. Thank you for being on the show. If there's a specific thing you'd like to talk about in the future, bring it on. I love that we got to share a little bit about Hashimoto's and the thyroid issue. I'm actually going to share this video with a few people that I think could benefit in understanding that a little bit more.
Nice.
And who knows, maybe they'll call you. So I am so grateful for that. So all of you watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, you can find all of Dr. Holly's information down below. So just go down below. Her bio's there, her contact information, all that stuff there. Tell her I said hi when you call. And I want to just read our closing from Earthwalk, as they're our production partners on this. Earthwalk's Global Wholeness Clock and its daily moments offer a variety of opportunities, such as global community access to live interviews, health and wellness classes, meditation, live music and art, conscious connection and relationship building classes. Do tune in. Go to www.earthwalkunited.org/wholeness clock. Thank you to the people at Wholeness Clock and Earthwalk. Thank you, Holly. Tell us how people can connect with you.
Yeah, like Peter said, you can connect with me at www.simplehealthnh.com. I do concierge medicine. I do medicine at the clinic in New Hampshire. I can now do telehealth. Like, that's awesome, like with this pandemic. And just feel free to reach out to me. The Simple Health phone number is 603-244-6724, or, text me or DM me. I'm on Instagram. You'll find me. But I just love what I do. And please feel free to reach out with questions and see if I can support you. I would love to support you on your wellness journey.
Well, Dr. Holly, thank you so much for being part of my journey. I appreciate you.
And
for everybody tuning in, be sure to share these videos. You can find us on YouTube as well as other platforms. So just tune in, share it with your friends, and please make it your best day yet. All right. Namaste. And bye.